how are you? And I know you're very excited about our guest today.
I am because we have been to some really cool events lately. And Kim, who I'm going to introduce you in a minute, is been at a bunch of them. And we just like instantly connected. I think, similar personalities. I was at an event recently. I don't ever get sick, and I was feeling like crap. And she pulled me up. She pulled me up. She's like, I got you. I'm here for you. We got some water. And it's just an amazing person. So, welcome to the podcast, Kim. I'm here today going into deep dive with Kimberly Lafort, a groundbreaking expert who blends psychology, neuroscience, and Eastern philosophy to transform how leaders and entrepreneurs harness their voice. Kimberly changes outdated beliefs and emotions that truly dilute authority and providing instead authentic influence that comes from being fully embodied. So I I cannot wait to dive in with you, Kim, to talk all about what you're doing, who have you been able to influence, and again, thank you for helping me when I was a little bit down.
It is my pleasure. I got your back, girl. You know that. Thanks for having me today. It's an honor.
Yeah, you're welcome. So tell us a little bit about what you're doing right now. We have a broad audience, huge audience between Neil and myself. And I think that what you're doing can truly help so many that are listening today.
I think there's a misconception that we need to be ready, that we need to be perfect, and that the human experience needs to be left out of leadership. And it's a real shame because it's what makes each one of us so special when we learn that we can feel the fullness of the excitement of who we are and the excitement of a moment, whether that's high stakes, like being interviewed on a podcast, speaking on stages, or the intimacy of a really deep, important discussion at the dining room table. Those moments where we're being seen and heard, they come with the rush of the human experience of reddening or sweating or shaking or sometimes going to the head and questioning yourself. But those things aren't bad. They're not a sign that anything's wrong. And our culture, I believe, has misled us that somehow having those big human experiences means that we're going to drop the ball somewhere and not be successful. So my mission and my brand right now is to help individuals, leaders, entrepreneurs, coaches, healers, speakers re-enter the world of their voice embodied so that whatever human experience they're having feels like a launch pad for learning, and so they can stop really making sensation a problem.
I think it's interesting because just yesterday, my really good friend is starting her own business. And I'm going to bring her next week or the week after down to Saratoga to an event that I'm doing. And I said, this is going to be a great moment that you can network. And, she does recruiting and things like that. And she goes, I'm not ready. I don't have a website. I don't have the and so this was our conversation yesterday, and I was like, "Do you think I was ready? Like I wasn't ready. Like I'm still not ready. Like we're still
Right?
building decks. Like 13 years later, we're literally building a sales deck as we speak today." And so I think what you're talking about is so important because we really do have things to offer, but we might feel like there's these roadblocks.
Yeah. And there is another big lie that we believe, Kelly, is that we got to be ready because,
Right. Mhm.
right, Neil, readiness, I think readiness is never really the prerequisite. It comes downstream. It comes downstream, like way downstream. So I don't tell people that you don't have to be ready, but you do need to be resolved. And that's a power within that no matter what, I'm the one. I get to go for it. It gets to be great. And when the desire enters your body to go, like your friend who's starting her business, which is amazing, it's going to be scary. It's going to be uncomfortable,
Yeah.
Right.
but that's a part of the growth. And I think if you're resolved, you cross that line in the sand and you become that future self immediately, which is so much more important than being ready. Because who can define that anyway?
Totally.
Mhm.
And you think about this, this is the problem everyone doesn't understand as an entrepreneur or business owner versus working for somebody else. Yes, you have a problem, you got to fix it fast and you can't wait. Well, when you have certain resources, only limited resources, and you keep trying to put off, you'll never get started. And so many new businesses, new entrepreneurs, new ideas never happen because they're still waiting for the next step. Right,
Yeah.
Kimberly?
Yeah, they go into what I call the bail zone. And the bail zone is where dreams go to die. And at the end, I mean, that's dramatic, right? But like, really,
Well,
the end of that, that's a life filled with a lot of regret. And, I'm not looking to die with regret. I want to live, I want to experience, I want to fail fast. And I want to change the narrative that those things have to be some sort of failure, but that actually, when you move quickly, velocity gets to be safe, decision making gets to be safe, living your fullest expression gets to be safe, even while we feel it's messy and sloppy. And that's entrepreneurship. It's not perfect, it's not comfortable. So we also, I think, Neil, have to change the relationship that we have with discomfort. What do you think?
Oh, I mean, being a business owner is so much fun, entrepreneur, but there's going to be a lot of uncomfortable times. You're going to have to make decisions that are going to be very stressful. And you're going to have to figure out, how am I going to shift when that happens? And sometimes when I look at the shifts I made and I felt very uncomfortable, I'm so thankful I made those shifts. And the mentors that have come in my life, like Kelly, Kelly has just been one of the best mentors. And the fact saying, hey, Neil, you have all these people, why don't you connect them all together? And what it's done is it's gotten my business in a different way now. And we're building these huge partnerships. And it's because of just being able to feel uncomfortable. Well, that's not really my business model. That's not what I'm going to do.
Right.
The uncomfortability you have to do. And if you don't do it, you're going to be stagnant and never grow. And you have to make decisions like that might not be in business 101. If everybody would look at the percentages of successful businesses and also businesses that even profit, they're so low. So the out of the box thinking, the shifting, the ability to take huge risks, that's business. And if you don't do that, you're not going to survive it, Kimberly.
I agree. I
so
agree.
Kim, let's say we're gonna take my friend, okay, and I introduce you, which I actually am. This is like perfect timing.
I can't
So,
wait.
so I'm gonna introduce you to her. How do you take this person? Tell me your process. Like, she's coming in, she's like, I just got laid off. I know what I'm doing. However, like, what do you do? How do you work?
The first step we're going to do is work with the identity of that person. And for me, in my world, that is deep somatic embodiment work. And I take my 25 years of teaching yoga and meditation, Eastern philosophy, psychology degrees, cognitive science, all that nerd stuff that I love. And I smashed it all together. And what happens is there's a system that I bring someone through where they start to learn and reintegrate or rewire the brain to be in partnership with their body. Why the body? The mind is great. I think we overuse it. I think it has a little bit too much hype. I think the body is really where our groundedness is. It's where we anchor into, who am I? Not the thought of who I am subjectively, but the experience, the raw data of a human being. And so this is important because when someone's taking a leap, like your friend is starting her business, we go to the head to figure out it all. And if you go to the head too much, you'll be misled. If you go to the heart, you'll make the mark. So your heart, being the body, gets to be this synergistic partnership with all of your logic, all of your learning, all of your wisdom that is in the mind. But now the process that I help people map using tapping, breath work. I've got this somatic movement we do called radical rituals. Visualization is huge in my world, and declarative statements of I am and I can. We do all of this together in a partnership with a bunch of women online called the Vocal
Okay.
Honey Group Coaching. And when you see other women moving and grooving and dancing and expressing themselves, and maybe having that breakthrough of crying, but also declaring, I am here and I am safe and I am powerful to take these big jumps. What happens is that the body feeds us information to the brain in the terms of your posture. and your voice dropping down. A lot of women talk way up here because we're overthinking. Even men sometimes go really high up into the head because our voice literally is in the mind. But when we learn these somatic tools, we drop down and register. And it's not just the voice dropping down, it's where we're centered in our body. And when an individual is centered, they start to make aligned choices. And that means discernment too, Kelly, right? Because we don't need to be doing everything. We got to do the right things.
Yeah. Well, I think in business ownership, it's hard. So we're working with a guy who's helping us to get focused, because in nutrition or wellness, I mean, it's like so unbelievably broad. You know, we
Oh,
can
I
do
bet.
sports nutrition, school nutrition, and wellness, and basically, you know, you can affect 2 to 102. And so it's one of those things that like I've really like thrown every ball up because I'm an entrepreneur, and I'm like, woo, like, which one's gonna take,
Yeah.
Um, and so after 13 years, like it's still hard to truly focus because I guess I really am an entrepreneur. So I'm like shiny object, shiny object.
Yeah.
So
I have to laugh
Yeah.
because it's true. Go ahead.
Squirrel, right?
yeah, but like, so do you help with that as well? Like to know where that focus could be? Because I think for someone starting out and even someone 13 years in, I think that's still something that it's like my husband will be like, oh, here's another venture, like here's another thing. How do you work with that?
That energy is really fascinating to me because it comes up in how we our presence, it comes up in how we speak too. I think a lot of women also struggle, men and women struggle with what do I speak about? Because my past is so experienced. I have all of these degrees. I have all these public speaking coaches or leaders, entrepreneurial coaches are saying I got to pick my signature story. I have like 5 or 6. I've got a Rolodex. If anyone's old enough to know what a Rolodex is, I've got a Rolodex of stories because you need to know your audience, right? And like what you say or what you present should relate. And so I think having one story is not good. I think we need many. And I also think we need many talents. So it's not so much that I'll help a woman choose what one thing she needs to do. My perspective is feel the depth and the width of everything you want to do. And what if we didn't have to choose right now? What if instead we could just feel the fullness? Because Kelly, I think choosing one thing is important for marketing, right? And like going forward and being clear with your audience. Absolutely. It took me a long time to figure out that I was just going to do vocal honey. I was a million other things. So I'm happy, I'm grateful. But now I've kind of taken a different approach where I'm like, the pressure to choose one thing could be the pressure you're feeling to speak about one thing, and now your throat locks up and now you're questioning, can I take these magical little pivots that will actually bring you where you need to go? So what if instead of choosing one thing, we allowed it all to be there, and anchoring back into the now moment, anchoring back into the present moment through the body, through the breath. Then at the moment, the right thing at the moment will come up. And it could pivot tomorrow. So I'm very much a permission giver for people to just talk about and flow through whatever they feel rather than choosing one thing.
Right. Because if you choose one, and this is the other thing is when you haven't niched, and this is a great question because I look at my journey of now focusing on podcasting, but my agency can do everything after the podcast. But I really want to focus on what I've done for 15 years and 15,000 plus interviews and say, okay, that's what we do. But ultimately, I can help you in other areas. And now, because of where we're seeing this evolution, everyone's niching to one thing, and it's good to niche, but you got to look at your marketplace and you got to look at specifically if you have more talents, you might be able to offer a specific group of people a lot more things. That's why you need someone like you in your corner, right?
Yeah, it honestly, I agree with you, Neil. Like we're kind of the same where we offer this, but we have all of this. And on calls recently, I've actually said, like, I don't want to overwhelm you with everything that we have. Let's just start with like this one presentation and then we can grow from there. But it's also frustrating. It's like we really could come into that worksite and be able to, do so much. So I don't know.
Yeah.
And then right now, Kim, like I'm being asked to really hone in on that keynote
Yeah.
speech. And
Hmm.
that to me is the hardest thing in the world because I'm
Yeah.
used to speaking nutrition. I'm used to educating, not going into my story. And so the first time kind of was at Alex's CNY women's event where she asked me to speak about vulnerability. And I drank a bottle of wine the night before because I was like, I don't want to talk about vulnerability. I just nutrition. I don't want to.
Don't ask me to do that publicly. Come on.
But it, honestly, like the whole day, I didn't speak till the end of the day. And by hearing everybody else's story, I felt so much more comfortable. But I'm still, it's really hard to go from an educator, and that's what I do, to, and my story's crazy, like it honestly, when people are like, what? Like I literally have a Lifetime movie. So I think that needs to come out more. Like Alex has even said that, like, you need to share your story more. Um,
Yeah, agreed.
but it's hard for me to do that.
I don't say, and I think you're coming out of your shell a little bit on this podcast because you're talking more than
I know,
nutrition.
Neil, you never have, yeah, like literally I have a lifetime movie. Like,
That's good.
Well, but see, but Kelly, but also you kind of mentioned certain things. There's wow, I didn't know about you going and doing this. People buy, and I hate to say it because everyone they have to know, like, and trust you. And it's interesting. One of my clients, she does on LinkedIn, she does no promotion of herself. All she does is share great information. And she's rocking it on LinkedIn. People think that you have to talk about what you do all the time. They want to get to know who you are, what stories you can tell, how it is. Everyone would say, okay, you should only be talking about your business. No, because when they come to say and they want to meet with you, they want to know who is this person inside. I can
Yeah.
choose this huge company, or am I going to choose somebody else that's going to really honor who I am, understand who I am, what I am? That's the mistake people make. So when you go on a keynote speech, yeah, we want to get value, but we want to really know what makes you tick, what makes you
Yeah.
special. Like if I told my story, which I mean, I don't get on a lot of people that are doing other guesting on other people's podcasts. I should, I don't, but
Yeah.
I tell my stories all the time on my show, and people listen to me and they know everything about me in certain ways. I'll mention things that just because it really resonates with them. But
Mhm.
if I was on a keynote, the stories I can tell, the challenges I try to do when I work with my clients is really say, hey, it's a journey
Yes.
at the end of the
There's
day.
so many pieces that you guys brought up right now in the current Vocal Honey coaching. They're working on one of my signature frameworks for telling a story because it is challenging, Kelly. It's called the heart method. And I developed that because there's the hero method. That's a tried and true practice that's out there and it's really successful for storytelling, but it's the short game. And it's really good for selling in like a high pressure, buy this car kind of moment. Doesn't always jive with heart led leaders. And
Mhm.
also, there's the long game where we got to understand that storytelling needs to happen as an evolution over time and more touch points of storytelling, the more someone's going to really feel like they understand who you are. Um, and again, I'm going to preface this by saying I think you need more than one story. The traditional stages are there, but now more than ever, non-trad stages are everywhere. Speaking
Right.
to your local Rotary Club, going to the architectural, yearly seminar. People are looking for perspective, and so having a couple stories in your back pocket takes the pressure off having one big story. When you know you can rotate through several, sometimes they overlap, which is cool. But yeah, having a signature talk is important. You can morph that into a strategy, which can become your podcast framework. It can become a PDF. It can become your workshop that bridges with your talk. And these are all things I coach people on. It helps you connect with your audience, yes. But before that, you guys, which is fascinating, before it connects you with your audience, it connects you to you. And I
Mhm.
think we need to feel that permission that the simple story that we've lived is the big story. We don't need I climbed Everest and my oxygen bottle crapped out and then the golden eagle came and saved me. Like those stories are cool. And those are great for a big stage where you want authority. But the everyday stage, we got to be telling stories that are relatable. And that validates you and your experiences and it helps people see themselves. It also collapses time, guys. I mean, if you want to sell people into your programs and you want to make money faster as a leader, as an entrepreneur, stories speed transactions up in a very intimate way. You don't have to say, do you want to buy now? They hear your story and they just go, wow,
Yeah.
this is the
They want
program.
to work with you. And so the power
Absolutely.
of brand,
Power of what?
Brand.
brand
Oh,
is
brand.
the
Yes.
end. It will keep you busy even in the hardest economic times. Will keep you
100%.
busy even when it's holiday time. Meaning the power of brand makes it so you don't have to sell so much, you share.
Yeah, and it opens you the heart up. I think that again brings us back into a life with small nuanced moments or big scary moments or successful moments are exactly the ticket to transacting on a heartfelt level. And that's what happens before someone hits that PayPal button. That's what happens before someone books you on stage, Kelly, is they're transacting with you through your stories and you becoming visible. But to become visible, we need to know what we're showing up to talk about. And that's what a story gives you. It gives you that icebreaker of, I know how to lead this discussion. I know why it matters. And I've done the nervous system work to integrate more visibility because that's what's really going to rock you when you start to get more visible.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's amazing what you're doing. I think it's more now than ever with social media and, like you said, more stages that are opening up. And I think you're in the right time, the right place for all of this. And I
Thank you.
can't wait to see. And I would really love to work with you. I'd also love to get my friend with you. There's just, I think that there's so much cool stuff happening in our local area as well.
I
Really,
love that.
yeah.
I'd love that so much. Yeah, let's definitely connect. I've got the Vocal Honey tour going on all year long where I'm traveling to different cities. We're going to be in Saratoga next month, by the way, too. So
Love
let's
it.
figure out how we can connect there.
Love it.
This was great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Best place people can find info on you, Kimberly. Where can they go?
Instagram, thekimberlylafort.com, and the same for YouTube as well. Lots of free resources there.
All right. That was fantastic. And go to kellyschoice.org, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I was
You're an
making
org.
an org and .com, right? And also pick up your book, Kelly, your book.
Yeah, you can go to Amazon, go to the New Weight Loss Era, or just put my name in, Kelly Springer, and it will pop right up. You can get it on Audible or in the book version. So, thank you
Fantastic.
so much, Neil.
All
Thanks.
right. That was a special simulcast of the Neil Haley Show and Talk